We have this 15 days observation for the past 10 years to concentrate on various subjects regarding human rights violations across the society for people with disabilities, people with HIV/AIDS on Human Rights Day, and also elimination of all forms of violence against women. So those are the that is the idea behind this 15 days program enshrined everywhere, and we follow it every year also. Today we have a subject called protection of women from sexual violence at workplace. It's not only protection, this is it called, it is for prevention, prohibition and redressal act. This is the law. So it is not a penal law here to punish somebody who does not conform to the legal provisions, but this is a social legislation which says how to prevent it, how to prohibit it in our workplace, then how can we redress it if there are people facing it. This is it. Now you would have read in many papers the history of this law. I want to share a single line spoken to by one Banwari Devi. She said, "The voice against injustice that I have raised should never be quelled, whether I live or die." These are the words spoken to by Banwari Devi. Now you will know who is Banwari Devi. She is a very grassroots level health worker, equivalent to our Anganwadi workers, in a very remote village in Rajasthan. She went working for the grassroots people there under the integrated child development program also of the government, and she was working for against child marriage, which was very prevalent in those parts of the country. Not only in those parts of the country, I have witnessed it in our southern states also, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, many places, where there is quite a lot of child marriages taking place as a mass marriage, but it all culminates, the result is that it's child marriage. Anyway, our lady, this heroine Banwari Devi, was working among the people, and she came across a child only 2 years old, and by a ceremony her child marriage is conducted in the locality. And the people therein, the upper caste people who were supporting the child marriage, they got angry with her for prohibiting it, or she said it can't be done. She voiced against it in the society, and the upper caste men or the upper caste society people sexually harassed her for having worked for this issue in the grassroots level in the very remote village. We can't even imagine such a village in our place now here in Kerala. Anyway, and when she went to complain that to the policemen in the police station, they said, see, even there she was gang raped by the authorities. Then she went and complained about that to an NGO, that is Vaishagi. You know, we say Vaishaga versus state of Rajasthan. Vaishaga is not a name of the person, it's an NGO. Okay. And coming to know of the plight of this lady, all throughout she has been sexually abused. See, sexual abuse is the easiest mechanism which we can apply to silence a female. Why females don't go out in the evening? Because somebody will say something bad. Bad about what? Not bad about my hair, not bad about my hands, bad about my morality. So much we are fearing the good name or so-called good name, and that is why it is very easy to abuse her, assault her sexually. That is the best punishment patriarchal mindset has given to the society now. So anyway, and the case went up to the court, and even our judges said, see, they are all upper caste people and you belong to a very lower caste. It is unbelievable that the upper caste people would have raped you. Imagine the extent of caste system prevailing in our society. The judges are saying they would not have touched you or they would not have raped you because they belong to upper caste and you belong to a lower caste. Anyway, these are all injustices which this lady has faced right from the field where she is working, where she went to complain, in the society, in the police station, up to the court. Then the matter came up before the Supreme Court. This Vaishaka NGO filed a case before the Supreme Court saying that she was working at the place of her work. She was abused. That means there isn't any law other than IPC or other provisions to cater to a female who has been sexually abused just being there in the spot of work, at her workspace. Then this incident happened in 1992 and the Supreme Court in 1997 in Vaishaka versus State of Rajasthan came out with a big huge judgment which was narrated here, and the judgment said women should be protected against sexual violence in their workplace also. See, I simply, for my personal use, I don't want to use this word called protection. Okay, but every time we use the words called protection, after 2000 we have got quite number of legislations come into. Since there is violence at home, then we had this particular law in 2005 which says Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act. And even this is sexual harassment at workplace, prohibition, redressal, prevention, all that is kind of protecting this lady from, being a victim of that. Why we need so much of protective laws? One thing, it impliedly says that there is violence. That there is violence and somebody has to be protected. So, I would rather say that much as to change, see your Chancellor was speaking, I found it very good, like he said you have to have a very proactive steps, activities coming up from these days and whatever the things which you are going to concentrate upon on these 15 days. It's a very good idea because we are catering to a society which has to be protected. The Domestic Violence Act had to be implemented because the surveys conducted by the Law Commission and people found out 87% of human rights violations of a female takes place in the domestic sphere. Not on the road, not on the workplace, not elsewhere, but in the domestic sphere, which we say is safe space for her. Evening you find a lady out, you will say, hey dark man, just go home fast. You see a girl out walking around, you will say, hey it's getting dark, now go home. What do we mean? We mean the home is a safe space. Then the law and the findings say the domestic sphere is a not safe space, and the law went up to the house to protect this lady from violence. So this protection, I simply feel it shouldn't be there. It all has to do with our mindset. Any number of legislations cannot help us unless we change our mindset to regard, to consider, to respect the female as an independent individual with all faculties, with all potential, with all energy, with all potential for a very good respected individual. Unless we can do that, we can't be protecting them like some species which are going to be endangered. Protect them, because whom do we protect? We protect the endangered species. These are the legislations which are coming up. But let us, one example before I go into the law you would have read and all that. But one example I will tell you why the laws cannot change the mindset. The mindset has to change within us. We are living in 2022. But we are living in the society with the gadgets of 2022, with the dressings, with the facilities, with everything belonging to 2022. But our mind is of the 4th century. We want women to be worshipped. We want to preach women are that, this, that, it should be, they should be worshipped, etc. Good words, Devi, Kali, or many things. But in the practical sense, we don't even respect them as equals. So there lies the mindset. It has to change. It has changed. Maybe legislation will change. Let us hope it is changing also. That's why we are here speaking so loudly, hearing so loudly, and sitting here, and all of men folk are also with us in that issue. Anyway, did we not change by legislations and by social reforms many of the inequalities which existed in the society? Definitely. Now let us go on to I say a few examples how we have overcome the inequalities in the society. See, once upon a time, there was a difference between landlord and a tenant. We know who is a landlord. Who is a landlord? Who has got acres and acres, thousands of acres of property. And who is a tenant? The tenant does not own a property, but the tenant is living as a tenant without any right in the property of the landlord. So this was such a huge inequality which was prevalent here, even in Kerala, is still is there in many other states. And then we came up with a legislation called Kerala Land Reforms Act. What did it say? The tillers, the tenants, are the owners of the property. So the land which I was tilling, which I was working as a tenant, was given to me. I became the owner of that property. You go to the land tribunal and you get patta for it. That is the title deed for you. You became the owner of a piece of land which you were tilling so far. So the landlord-tenant inequality was reduced to a larger extent. Not only by this law, there were quite a lot of reforms which has taken place by the trade unions, by people's movement, many social agitations, etc. End result is that now you can't say, I am the landlord of this 500 acres and you are my tenant for 5 cents. No. Now there is no landlord and tenant. The tenant is entitled for fixity of tenure of his property which is tilling. He has become the owner of your property, his property which he was tilling. And the landlord cannot have more than the ceiling area of the property according to the laws. So this was such a big inequality which has changed over the time, not just by legislation of the Kerala Land Reforms Act or before that the Agrarian Relations Act, but with lot of social reformers speaking on the subject, agitations going on, trade unions speaking out, together we have overcome. Now come on, think about the slavery. There is a master and a servant, slave. You know where I come from, Wayanad. Have you heard of that place? So it's a hilly area, it's a tribal district, etc., and it's very green. You should all go and see there. Okay, but then we have quite lot of tribal population in our in the state. It must be Wayanad is having the highest population of tribal population in the state, and we have got a very famous temple there called Valliyur Kavu. It's a temple, and the temple festivities, everything belongs to the tribals. Tribals form major part of the festival ownership and things like that. It goes on for 10 days now, huge way. But then before 50-60 years, tribals were used to bring there and they were sold to the landlords like slaves. Not only one, the entire family of the tribals used to be sold to them. So after the Slavery Abolition Act came and many agitations came up, now there is no slavery. That means that inequality of master, slave, owner and slavery has gone. I mean to say, quite lot of inequalities which existed in the society has been done away, or it has come up, it is gone, at least to a great extent. Only in a subtle way in the society it remains. Then why the difference, the discrimination between the male and female still continues? Is it lack of legislations? No. Is it lack of opportunities? No. What is lacking herein is our mindset has not changed. Our mindset has not changed. What we need to look into is not protective laws to protect people, women, but we should look into our mind and see whether we are ready to accept my female as an equivalent partner in my life, partner in my workspace, partner in all my endeavors in politics or whatever. If we are not able to see that, still we are in the 4th century or 10th century somewhere, we are not able to recognize the counterpart at all. Here comes the difficulty. That is why so many legislations are still put in place, and still we are observing this 15 days of elimination of violence against women days, etc., etc. Now we come to this, and let us go back to even the legislation. What did it do? In 1997, Supreme Court in the Vaishagha versus Rajasthan case put up a number of guidelines, that is casually called as Vaishagha guidelines in our legal language. Vaishagha guidelines, what is it? A woman has got every independent right to work in a society. She should be socially protected, she should be respected, etc. She should have a conducive atmosphere for discharging her duties, whatever be her duty, and the workspace should be conducive to that atmosphere, and society should not have any gender based violence, etc., etc., quite a lot. Then if at all there is any problem of sexual assault in a workspace, there should be a committee formed by every organization, and she will have to complain it to the committee. The committee's constitution is being discussed in the judgment. So many, half the number of committee people should be females, etc., etc. Then how the committee should function: should hear the petitioner, the complaint should be received, the respondent should be heard, an inquiry should be conducted, and find out if there is really a grievance, and set right the grievance by redressal mechanism, or give punishment to the respondent who has done the assault or whatever it is. So in spite of, and in 1997 Supreme Court said the Parliament should come up with a proper legislation on this aspect, and until then this judgment shall be the guidelines and it should be implemented. You follow me, no? You know what happened? When did the law come into effect? 97, 2007, then it came into being in 2013. How many years after that the Parliament came up with this law? In between, a staff in the Supreme Court had a complaint against the Chief Justice of India about sexual assault. Still the Supreme Court did not have a committee. Still many institutions still don't have a committee as you have here. Law says there should be a committee, and if a committee is not formed, the employer is liable for fine of 50,000 rupees. You please tell your colleges where you work or where you say, ask them to form a committee under this law. The law says what the committee should do, how it should function, what are the duties of the employer, what are the duties of the employee, etc., etc., and how the process of the committee, everything meeting should go on, etc. So not to invite this 50,000 rupees fine, at least you form a committee now and then go about. You can have a handbook of this law everywhere. It's very simple. Even it is not a law, I would feel. Like the Domestic Violence Act, when I used to take trainings for the Judicial Academy people or for the police department, I used to say, this is not a law. This is a code of conduct. The law says, don't commit violence against the females in the house. Mother, sister, mother-in-law, whoever, you know. It can be a female also committing violence. The law looks into both. It is gender neutral. So, was there a law to look into my behavior in my house? Imagine then how bad we are, how far we are from development, because there is a law which tells me how to behave in my home. So, that is why I feel sometimes it's rather a code of conduct. It's not even a law. Law says how to behave. Okay, coming to the workplace also. Here also the law says how to behave. It's a code of conduct for us actually. Leave alone the punishment, the things, everything. But then here both the society, males or females, colleagues must understand what is the law telling us. It is not telling if you have any problem now, come on, file a complaint, I am going to put the other man out. No, it is there. But before that, every employer, every institution has to make provisions for prevention. Then prohibition. Then if at all it happens, then you go to the redressal mechanisms. Even the redressal mechanism is very, very loose. You have options for conciliation. You have options for other remedies. Many things. In one case where I was an IC committee member in a hospital, of course that senior nursing superintendent woman was harassed by this man. He put voice messages in the WhatsApp group and saying she is this, that, bad, etc. And he was transferred even otherwise under the disciplinary committee for some other misconduct by the hospital authorities. And later on, this man came and apologized before the committee. I was drunk. I am not mentally okay. I have to travel 2 hours to reach my place. I am really disturbed. I am taking medicines for my mental instability. Please forgive me. It is true that I told all these in the WhatsApp message. And if it has defamed her, I am willing to say sorry, apology. Then we asked the other person, the complainant, what do you say now? Then she said, this is more than enough to me, because this man has behaved this way to many people. And if he is ready to apologize to me, he will be ready to apologize to other people. I don't want any punishment. He has got only few years in service, let it happen. And the matter was closed on the apology of the person and accepting the apology by the complainant also. So what I said is, it's a very a dignified way of approaching in the manner. There are mechanisms that way, there are mechanisms otherwise, there are mechanisms which can enter up in punishment, termination of service, etc., harsh also. So I would say even this is not a law, it is a code of conduct. How to behave in a home sphere, similarly, how to behave yourself in a workspace. That is the law, what it says, in short. Okay. So, going to the legal provisions, it says about formation of a committee. Now everybody is confused about this committee and all those things. If it is an organized setup like a college, university, hospital, company, workshop, wherever there is an organized workforce, where there are more than 10 people working, there should be an internal committee. The committee's constitution is like this: the chairperson should be a female, half of the members should be a female, and 2 persons must be from that employment space, and 1 person from an outside NGO who is interested in the, who is working and has got experience in women and child welfare activities. Okay, with having legal background, etc., etc. So only 1 person is from the outside agency. Other 4 people, if your committee is 5, all the other 4 are from your institution, and the chairperson must be a female, the topmost person of the institution, and there are 2 of them. There can be 2 males, 2 females, and an NGO female, so that the majority become females. This is the constitution. You can have 7-member committee, 5-member committee, or 9-member committee. Okay, this is a committee. Then, if suppose you are working in a place, it is an unorganized sector, then there we have, the law provides for a local committee, in the sense where there is no organized setup and which is an unorganized labor matter, and where the complaint is against the senior or the employer of the institution, then you have to approach the local committee, which is the chairperson which is under the nodal officer. It can be a Tahsildar, block officer, with women and child welfare office department person, etc., etc., and it is under the district magistrate. He is called collector or subdivisional magistrate, etc. The committee is to be formed by them. There will be a nodal officer appointed by the state authorities, revenue authorities, and that person will look into, again there are 2 people who are having legal knowledge, and the committee should necessarily have a person from scheduled caste community also. So that is local committee. Local committee, you understand for whom the local committee is, where the complaint is against the employer himself and it is in the organized sector. There are not 10 people working there, etc., etc. Then you go to the local committee under the collector's leadership. Then if there is an organized setup like us, like you have a university and your own thing, then you have the internal committee. It is called IC committee. Now what has this committee to do? You have read, no? You have heard about this law and all. What is this committee to do? You must understand, this committee is not only for looking into the complaints. If there is complaint or no complaint, committee has to be in place. Their duty is to see that there is no sexual harassment in the workplace at all and promote gender awareness in the institution concerned and take all proactive steps to ensure that this atmosphere is very conducive for all females to work or for males to work, etc. So it has got a wider responsibility. The employer also, the employer's responsibility is narrated here having 10-15 numbers. If I say you should really read it and find out, because you need to know, because you are all heads of some institution somewhere or some colleges somewhere. You need to know all these committees are in place, and the employer's responsibilities are quite organized workshop and awareness program for regular intervals for sensitizing the employees of the community, employees about the policy of the organization, orientation camps for the programs for the IC members, assist them in securing the attendance of the respondent and the witnesses, provide assistance to the complainant, assist the complainant to initiate action under the Indian Penal Code if it's necessary, monitor the timely submission of the report by the internal committee. The policy has to be prepared and submitted by the committee. So then, provide safe working environment at the workplace, provide necessary facilities for the ICC committee for meeting, include all the cases of sexual harassment and action taken and if a report is filed. So the employer and the committee has got a wider responsibility. Now let us think, let's just presume an incident where there is a complaint coming of sexual harassment at workplace. A person is complaining it to the committee. When the complaint comes, the complainant has to forward the complaint with 6 number of copies with the documents enclosed. Send it to the committee or the chairman. The chairperson of the committee will bring it to the committee for hearing, and the complaint has to be filed within 30 days of the incident, and within 7 days of receiving the complaint by the committee has to send a copy of the complaint and a summons to the respondent asking him to file his reply to this, and he can be given time to produce the witnesses, documents, etc. in support of his claim, whatever it is. Then you bring it here, and then the committee will examine, oral evidence will have to be taken from the complainant. It need not be always in the presence of the respondent also. There are provisions made in the law, okay. And after taking evidence, after taking the respondent's evidence, and after reading the resources available, the committee will have to sit and form an opinion as to whether there is already the complainant has got a grievance or not. In between, there is a conciliation proceedings wherein the complainant can be asked or can be told that in spite of proceeding with this complaint in this manner, you have a provision for conciliation. You know what is conciliation, no? You talk between the parties themselves, and if you come across a satisfying result, you can admit to that. In one of my case, the complainant said, I don't want anything else, madam. You just transfer him from this place. Okay, that was communicated to the respondent, and the respondent said, okay, if I am transferred, if the problem is going to solve, I am willing for a transfer. And the committee gave a transfer order and the person was transferred, whatever. Okay. So, and there is a provision in the committee, in the conciliation proceeding itself, for paying compensation for the injuries, if at all any, sustained by the complainant. And the quantum of fixing the compensation, etc., is being discussed in the law. And if in the proceedings of the committee's functioning, you find out that the complainant or the respondent or the witnesses have given a false complaint, then also the committee can refer this false complaint witness to the department, and the department can initiate action according to the disciplinary proceedings or standard of orders governing your service rules. So there are quite a lot of mechanisms inbuilt into this law. Everybody thought this is something like that. Tomorrow we can't go to the office. This lady is looking at me. I am afraid. Will she file a case against me tomorrow? So, like that. But this is just, as I said, it's a code of conduct. The procedure is very, very simple, very viable. People can use it, and it is looking into justice for the aggrieved person only. And there are mechanisms to work out that remedy also in the system. Then you can stop the increment, a letter of warning can be given, and at last, after this, if there is dismissal or termination for the services of the institution, it can be done, etc. Now, after the committee has come to a conclusion, what do we do? Within 10 days, you make a report, and with your suggestions of punishment, send the report to the head of the department. And the head of the department, after receiving the complaint within 60 days, shall take action upon that. And it is up to the employer to see that the report of the committee is implemented. And there are provisions for suggesting the action, penal actions also in the report. There are provisions if you want to add in also. So after that, the employer takes the decision, and that is the end of the matter. And the compensation, etc., we can be worked out in between the proceedings. This is how a committee functions in a very, very democratic way, without harming anybody. It is a quasi-judicial activity which is being contemplated. The members must be given, the members of the committee must be given adequate training to conduct the programs. They should file the report to the authorities concerned. Then they should also maintain an account, a report, an annual account and report showing how many cases are pending, how many cases have been disposed of, what are all the programs done by the ICC committee under the authority of the employer to see that the act is implemented in the area. So not only in the act, I said it is all mechanisms for create awareness among the society about gender awareness, gender-based violence, etc. It can be to prevent the sexual harassment at work. It can be to prohibit it. Only the last one is redressal if there is one what happens. So this is the in nutshell, this is the way the committee functions. So you can read the gist of the law and understand it is not such a thing, but then quite a lot of cases have been decided this way, that way. You would have read about Ruben Bajaj. Have you heard? KPS Gill. That matter was referred to the court under section 354, outraging the modesty of the women, to take action under 354 IPC. It was sent over, and actually he was punished at last. In our state, we had that case by Nalini Nattu, remember, and Neela Lohidadas Nada, member. So initially it was found by the committee, it was actually referred to the police for taking action. Police took action, and he went on appeal, and he got a stay of the proceedings. And later on, it is still pending in the High Court. Imagine those matters, this Nalini Nattu's matter, still in the High Court. Both of them are appealed against both of the proceedings, and one court decided this way, the other court decided other way. So now it is in the High Court sitting. Anyway, I, being a part of the judicial system or working on the legal lines, I do understand the time delay consumed by the judiciary in dispensation of justice. It's very much harmful for anybody. I don't know, even after retirement, Nalini Netto will be just sitting and asking whether it is going to come during a lifetime or not. It's quite long, the judicial process in our country. And I would not always find fault with the judicial system also, because we don't have enough number of courts, enough number of judges in our high court to the capacity provided. Sanctioned limit in the worry. Sanction strength is 20 so much. The judges now are only less than that. And we don't have a high court bench in this part of northern part of Kerala. And even if you from Kasaragod have to file a case in the high court, you will have to go down to Ernakulam. All those are all problems, you know. In my personal opinion, justice is also an essential commodity like ration, kerosene, you know what it's an essential commodity, no, for a human being. And it should be available to every citizen. And they shouldn't be waiting for 20 years or 25 years, you know, indefinitely for justice. So to do that, probably we'll have to, have increased number of infrastructure for that. You can ask any one of your MLAs or MPs, just imagine out of the general fund, how much is being set apart for judiciary. I read this survey 3 years before. It was 0.07% of the budget. 0.07% of the budget for delivering justice to all of us. You know, that much is there. There aren't courts. So like 10 years before, I have seen a court in Payoli or on the way to Vadagara, somewhere that side. That court building is 100-year-old building. Even our court, district court in Calcutta was more than 80-year-old, and monkeys used to jump, you know, when we are all sitting. It was broken and things like that. Now we have got a huge building. By the time the huge 5-story building came, litigations reduced also, whatever. You know, when you have the infrastructure coming up, you have justice going down, whatever. That's my observation only. I'm not complaining, but I'm telling you, when we say that, of course, there are delay from the part of the lawyers taking adjournments, from the part of the judges sending back matters, etc., etc. But then we should also be aware that there aren't sufficient infrastructure for delivering justice to us, and that is why the delay in the proceedings for justice. Or just that's my personal opinion. Why it is not, but I too still feel, instead of waiting for 2 years for a matter where a child is to be paid maintenance under the Domestic Violence Act, the Act said in all good words, 60 days in only case thirkanam. Every case has to be settled before 60 days and the remedy should be given. You know what happened? The Act came in 2005. Interim maintenance of 1,000 rupees was paid to the child. The father went up in appeal to the district court. In the district court, that appeal is pending for 15 years. Now the child would have grown up and he would be a major and he wouldn't need maintenance now. It was, what is maintenance? For your survival now, it's not there. So often we people think with the heart and feel that justice should come to all people, and sometimes and most of the times it doesn't happen due to many reasons. Maybe I am also part of that system which is prolonging justice, but we ardently think that it should work out. So I close my subject just with an introductory part of the law I have supplied before you. Maybe in your institutions later on you can have a full-time discussion about this law if you need, because I haven't discussed the minor technicalities and things like that in an elaborate manner. This is just an overview. Probably I am only reminding you, you would have read and you would have known, and your committee members, etc., you are well versed in that, but then I only added my opinion also to your understanding of the law on the subject. But I still feel, when I think in the gender lens, when see things with the gender lens, Barack Obama once told there was a facilitation meeting for this Malala Yousafzai, and he said one word which I remember. He said, there are girls and women like Malala throughout the world who can change this world, provided you do not deny them the opportunity to define their destiny. So it's not protection that we want, it is not freedom that we want, it is not equality or whatever. It's all comprised of you allow the female to take care of her destiny. Just say, you move about with your destiny, I don't stand in your way. So if that is happening to females in our country, then naturally the world will change. But somehow we are destined to think otherwise. We see the female as a body, when I went to take a class in some gender studies department in Calicut University, I suppose, I had a colleague who was speaking before me. She's a gynecologist, and she spoke there and she said about a story which has happened to her. A 14-year-old child was brought to the gynecologist for she was 8 months pregnant, and the gynecologist looked at her and asked the mother, and the mother said, yes madam, she is 8 months now, and etc. The child was so chumpy, like a little girl, innocent girl. And after next year, the same mother brought the same child with the second delivery for the second delivery. Still she was pregnant with the second baby, and the child was still again like that, looking very grey with insensitive eyes, sitting like that. Then the gynecologist asked, where is the other child? The older child, I see the records, there is another child born 1 year before. Where is the child? Then the mother said, this girl, she threw the child into the well. Who threw? The mother, the 14-year-old, now 15-year-old. The 15-year-old mother took the baby and put it in the well, and the child is not there. Then everybody in the hall, the teachers, the faculty people, everybody said, can she do that? Now you please go into your mind, into your system, and tell me, what do you feel? What do you feel? Just tell me, was it her decision to get married at the age of 14? Was it her decision to have a baby at the age of 14? She herself is a baby of 14 years. She would have simply thought the child lying next to me is like a doll for me, because I am still playing with a doll. I am just 14. I am a child. In all sense, my mind is not developed. My physique has not grown for motherhood. My mental capacity is not able to digest what is motherhood. Then, who thrust upon the motherhood upon her? It is that society who should be blamed for putting the child in the well, and not this little girl. That's where I said we see the female as a body. If there is a female, a body, she should be married at the first time. Then she should have children, next step. Then mother and children will struggle all along. That's the end of the matter. Just we have to see, you are teachers, I ardently beg of you, you instill in your children, in your colleges, in your students, that the children are the gift of whatever, God or nature, whatever. They have everything to flourish into a full bloom flower. Don't destroy their essence. Don't destroy their growth. Don't destroy them as humans. Let them grow. Marriage is a second thing. Have a child or not have a child, or marry or not marry. It is a second thing. She has to grow in her. She has to grow in her capacity as an individual. Then only, but Barack Obama said, can come into. He said, he did not say, you protect them, put laws, You give them marriage, let them have 10 children or sit at home or, look after your face. And they say, your body is your asset. Who said body is your asset? No. I am an individual with my body, spirit, attitude and the potential. My body is just an equipment to carry me. I am much more than my body. I cannot be determined into a physique, into a body at all. This concept we are sometimes unable to understand. And I have seen people blaming girls when they go to the college and all that. Oh, these little girls, they have nothing to speak about. They always speak about their hair, face, dress and makeup and all those things. They are so much concerned about their thing. I will tell you a story, a poem written by a third year student of engineering college, which was published in our, how many can follow Malayalam? Just put your hands. Okay, thank you. I'll say in Malayalam, I'll repeat if you want in other language. It is a poem like this, written by a small little girl of 23 years. She was a college going student. There was a double-storied building and a little girl was sitting on the second floor. She was sitting near a window and watching what is happening out. ജനലിൻ്റെ അടുത്തിരുന്ന് അവൾ തല പുറത്തേക്കിട്ട് നോക്കി. Some noise procession was going. അപ്പോൾ അവളുടെ കഴുത്തിൽ ഒരു ചങ്ങലയിട്ടു. അതിനെ മാലയെന്ന് വിളിച്ചു. പുറത്തു നടക്കുന്ന ശബ്ദത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് അറിയാൻ അവൾ കൈകൾ പുറത്തേക്കിട്ടു. അവർ നടക്കുന്ന ശബ്ദത്തെ കാണുവാൻ ശ്രമിച്ചപ്പോൾ അവളുടെ കൈകളിൽ ചങ്ങലകളിട്ടു. അതിനെ വളയെന്ന് അവൻ വിളിച്ചു. ഇരിക്കുന്ന സ്ഥലത്ത് നിന്ന് അവൾ എണീറ്റ് പുറം ലോകം നോക്കാൻ ശ്രമിച്ചപ്പോൾ അവളുടെ അരയിലും കാലിലും ചങ്ങലകളിട്ടു. അങ്ങനെ ശരീരമാസകലം ചങ്ങലകളാൽ ബന്ധിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ അവൻ പറഞ്ഞു, നിന്നെ കാണാൻ നീ എത്ര സുന്ദരി. അന്ന് മുതൽ സൗന്ദര്യം എൻ്റെ അസറ്റാണെന്ന് അവളും, സൗന്ദര്യത്തിൻ്റെ പേരിൽ നിന്നെ ഞാനൊരു ചങ്ങലയാക്കിയെന്ന്, ചങ്ങലക്കിട്ട് അടിമയാക്കിയെന്ന് അവനും. അവൻ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ജസ്റ്റ് കൊണോട്ടേഷൻ, മൈൻഡ് സെറ്റ്. ഇതാണ് നമ്മുടെ സൗന്ദര്യത്തിൻ്റെ രഹസ്യം. സൗന്ദര്യം ഒരു വലിയ ഭാരമായിട്ട് കൊണ്ടു നടക്കണം. ശരീരം എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, മുടി എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, ഡ്രസ്സ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, ഇങ്ങനെ ചിന്തിക്കാനേ സമയമില്ല. റെസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദി തിങ്സ്. ഹൗ മച്ച് വി ആർ വറീഡ് അബൌട്ട് ദ ബോഡി. I have seen some of the schools where they have the uniforms. At least 12 meters of cloth is put upon a child's body altogether. She can't simply run if there is a, like something snake coming, because she is wound out with 10 to 12 meters of cloth in different ways. Who is afraid of a female body? Why are we afraid of a female body? That body is like a flower. That body is like a green grass which is growing in the yard. It has every right to see the sun shining. It has every right to feel the cold, the fog. It has every right to feel the air. Why are we closing it? Why are we closing it and dumping it with meters and meters of cloth? You can wear, I don't have any objection. We wear minimum, whatever. But still, understand. Why are we afraid of a female body? We cover it. Then who is afraid? Not the child, we. Okay, I stop with this to say that the society is improving in many ways. Females have come into the workforce quite long, in many fields. Then this law had to be placed into. This is just one step in the process. But then ultimately we have to see that our mindset grows. Our mindset changes. About awareness program also, I'll say one more word and stop it. I come from Wayanad, I said, no? I have to go through Tamarasheri, Choram, Ghat Road, have you heard? Ghat Road down like that to Calicut. Then I stayed with my friend yesterday, Advocate Sudha. Then I took train early morning and came this way. Okay. When we go through the Ghat Road, there is a board put up by the forest department. Quite a lot of monkeys are there. So people traveling by the car, they give feed and all that. Even people going by bus, they feed the monkeys, and monkeys sometimes come inside the bus and scratch away your eatables, etc., etc. But it's quite a lot of trouble. So the forest department put a board there saying, please don't feed the monkeys. The next line is more important. By doing so, you are destroying the monkey's natural way of finding food. Monkeys are not supposed to eat from our, packets of chips or things. It has to naturally find the food from by itself. This is applicable to the programs which we do only for women programs. I have found it. When the child grows up, you say, oh, you're a girl. Don't jump this way. Don't show your legs. Don't cry loudly. Don't walk like that. You have to walk like this. Many things. Don't do. You cut away her strength, her potentiality, her ears, her senses, everything. By the time she is 18 or 19, she will be a dump. Then we start awareness programs. Like you pour Bonvita to give strength. Then at the age of 18, till 18, you have made her a dumb child. Don't walk, don't do this. She as a good child, she'll obey all this, and then she'll become a dumb girl, like whatever. Okay. After 18 years, we start awareness programs. See, quite a lot of problems in the society. Now let us go find and give awareness programs for women. Whenever I went, see, there was quite a lot of dowry deaths during the last 1 year and all, snake bite, this, that, and people were. Even judiciary conducted quite a lot of awareness programs on dowry, prohibition. And all the audience were females. And even now this Department of Social Welfare, everybody is speaking about gender justice, gender awareness, gender equality, gender awareness, all to females. So this is, you cut away the head, take away all your potential as a human being, then you become a dumb, then you pour all this glucose, Bonvita and strengthen them, awareness strengthening. Okay. These are all not my accusations. You just understand why I say this. A female should have free space to live. Let her live like an ordinary flower. Let her feel the sunshine. Let her feel the cold air. Let her feel all the things. Let her walk, run, enjoy the sun. I asked a lady, what is your last wish in this world? My last wish is very small, madam. I asked, what is that last wish? If I can afford to, I will do what you want. I need to go to Calicut beach and lie down on the beach, on the sand, throughout the night. One lady's last wish, maybe the only wish. Pardon me? You follow me, no? So, allow the females, allow men. See, one thing I will say, it is the patriarchal mindset that is harming us. It is not always the females who are always, no. There are females who still bear the patriarchal mindset in them, and they are also promoting this kind of oppression within the society. So I used to say, all the people who are wearing sari, they are not, they are not fully gender awareness people. No, there are much more men this side who are not wearing sari, but they can understand females. They respect them. But it's male or female is not my concern, or third gender or whatever, transgenders. But this is a world, a beautiful world, where we are given to live by our birth. Let us all, male or female or third gender or transgender, let us live equally. Let us not create problems among us, because we have quite a lot of problems to solve. The environment, forest degradation, seas taking away the land, etc., etc. Quite a lot of things to work together. So I wish and pray that we all work together and organize ourselves to just build up a very just community, and so that we have friends, males and females, holding hands together to walk this life without any fear but with confidence. And our boys are here, our men are here, all of us walk together in this way of life. Thank you so much for hearing me. There is